What's up, kings and queens? As you can tell from the title, I recently won my first ever over-the-board chess tournament. I even have the little trophy here to kind of prove that. However, as the other part of the title questions, did I truly deserve to win the tournament? I say that because the final round of the tournament was very sharp, very tactical, and there were a lot of decisions made by both me and my opponent that could have swayed the game either way. Now, I'm going to be plugging in those moves into a chess.com analysis board and play Reveal the Eval, where you and I, for the first time ever, get to see the stockfish evaluations for those moves during this game. And with every crazy up and down move, or just at the end of the game, I want you to comment below whether or not you think I truly deserve to win the game and ultimately the tournament. All right. Now, with that being said, let's jump right in. As you can see here, this is a blank board of the analysis that we will be covering during today's game. As you can see, I have the black pieces here at the bottom with my perspective going up against Dean, who is a fellow member of the club. Okay. Now, during this tournament, both Dean and I had 3 points or 3 wins out of 3 games. And we were the only individuals with 3 games or 3 points. So with this being the final and 4th round of the tournament, this is a winner takes all tournament. Okay. Now, the good thing about it being set up this way is, as you know, I already won the tournament. However, you really don't know if I won the game or drew the game and just happened to have tiebreaker odds. So that's a little bit of foreshadowing there for you guys to kind of watch the whole game. Now, this game was very, like I said, tactical, strategic, and could have gone 1,000 different ways, especially near the end of the game itself. So with that being said, let's get started. Dean starts off with c4. Okay. Now, c4, the English opening, as you can see here, English opening. I usually don't play the English as white, and I usually don't go against it as black. So right off the gate, first move of the game, I am out of book. Okay. My really only response to the English is what I play here, which is e5. Okay. Now for the opening, I'm going to keep this analysis kind of on for now until we start getting more into the middle end games and some crazy moves start happening. Okay. Now, Dean goes knight to c3. I go knight to f6. Basic 2 knights English variation, as you can see here. Let's go back. Actually, let's just stay on the moves for a second. He goes g3. Okay, which I believe was top move, still part of the opening. I go bishop c5, which is there but gives white a slight advantage. It's on the top 5 of the analysis, but gives white a slight advantage. You got to remember, I'm out of book. I'm just doing normal moves, developing, controlling the center. I'm going to be castling shortly and just trying to win the game. So after bishop c5, he goes bishop g2, which is obvious. I go d6. And here, I was shocked. So this is more or less book at this point. Okay. So I'm going to turn the analysis off. And this very next move caught me off guard. It wasn't on the analysis. It wasn't on the top 5. But I wasn't really scared of it either. He moved his knight to a4, attacking my bishop. Okay. Now here, I had a few options. I could continue developing. I can castle. I can move the bishop back so I can take this and open this for the rook. I could just keep it here all together and have him take it with one of the other moves, developing a castling. Here, however, I did decide to move backwards. bishop to b6. Okay, now let me take a look. Let's see what this move knight to a4 does for the evaluation. Okay, it gives me only a slight edge, which I was surprised. I thought it would be a little bit more than that. Okay, now me moving back to b6 actually wasn't even on the top 5 here, but it wasn't terrible, especially after I believe he takes, which is on here, takes, and then taking back with the a pawn is the best move and kind of equalizes the position, which does exactly what I want to do, opening up this file. Okay, so after takes, he goes e3, which is not on the board here. So let's see what that does. It does give me a slight advantage. Okay, especially after my next move, which is castling, top move of the engine for black. So here I already have a slight advantage over him. Okay, now the next move, it is on the board, keeps it kind of even. Knight to e2, not terrible. And then here I find the second best move, not bishop to e6, which would be attacking this. I did see that, but I thought if I go here first, he's just gonna take this pawn. But I guess if I take his pawn, he's gonna have to make moves. So I wanted to go here first, c6, before I went ahead and attacked the pawn. All right, now here he castles, so it stays even with the castle. Now bishop e6, which is actually no longer on. Okay, it's there, depending on if you allow it to think, but still relatively even. The next move kind of shocked me a little bit. Sorry, hold on. c6, castles, bishop e6, and he goes b3, which is the top engine line, and I go queen to c8, which is still on the, like I said, the top 5 analysis, which is good, nothing crazy yet. I'm lining up this attack. Okay. He goes bishop b2, getting his bishop developed, which is on the board. The analysis lines at the top there on the right. It's the 5th move, not terrible. And then I execute my plan, bishop h3, which is the best move for me. And for him, however, the next move... Okay, so it is on here. So number 4, he goes d4, attacking my center. And here I thought for a little bit. Okay? I thought if I take, he can easily either take back this way and mess up my structure by taking my horse, or if I don't take, then he can take here and have pretty good domination on these squares, especially if he moves forward and I take here. He doesn't have to worry about a light squared bishop with this blockade. So for here, I thought for a second. And I'm glad the move I did pick is actually on the analysis, which is bishop takes g2, which is what I do. Obviously, he takes back. Now, my next move, because I wanted to keep control of this e5 square and kind of disallow this bishop from kind of getting into the game and bothering my knight here as a key defender, I go, which is on number 4, knight to d7. So that I'm glad that the engine is kind of, I'm kind of playing the game as the engine would like me to play it. Now, this move, obviously, this protects this. I can come here. I can go here. I have plenty of moves to actually protect the e5 square, which is my goal from the beginning. Now, after knight to, where am I at? I lost my train of thought. Knight to d7. There we go. He makes an interesting move. Now, the move he makes is not on this analysis. And I'm going to play his move and then my next move. And I want you guys to kind of see the reasons behind it. Now, he had plenty of options. He could take. He could have even pushed. He could have just sat there, developed a rook or two, attacking the center, attacking my queen down the lines. He had options. Could even, he had options. Let's just say that. Now, this next move, however, f4. Obviously, he wants the e5 square just like I do. Okay? Now, it took me a second to try to figure out what to do here. If I come here, he's just going to bring the rook down, develop his rook, and get it activated, and it's not looking good for me. If I take here, he's going to take back with this, putting pressure on this knight, which is another reason why I played here, just in case he takes back and, I'm prepared. Now, I thought about pushing and blocking everything down, because if he ever tries to come here, I would probably kind of just lock the position up a little bit. But going here, keeping his pawns on dark squares while he has a dark squared bishop, I thought about that. However, in this position, I found a very good tactic. Because if you can see this square right here, if you're a knight, that is a nice royal fork. What's a good spot to get open to that spot? Right here. So I went knight to f4. Okay? Let's back up a couple moves. Let's turn the analysis on. Let's see what the engine gives f4. Thoroughly in my advantage. It actually wants me to take the f-pawn, which is crazy, allowing this rook to get activated. Now, my move just evens the game up, because after the knight to g4 move, he simply just moves his bishop back. Bishop c1. It's the fourth best move. One of four that actually keeps giving him an advantage. He's got to protect this square. Okay. Now, here things start getting interesting. Because I lock the center. I know it says it's not the best move, and it actually gives him a huge advantage playing e4 here. Not huge, but like slight advantage. But I figured locking this up while he has this bishop here, I can eventually come here, and if he takes, I go here. This is locked. I can protect this square. If comes here, I'll figure things out. So after e4, he goes knight to c3, attacking the pawn, and simultaneously attacking my my knight. Now there's two good moves here to protect both pieces, either f5 or knight to d6. I do the latter. Still gives me a slight advantage as number 2 move. Knight to d6. And whoa. Oh, that wasn't the knight to... Oh, it wanted me to bring the knight back. But he wanted me to bring the G knight back. Oh well. I brought the wrong knight. Give him a huge advantage, I guess. Well, that's a little unfortunate. I moved the wrong knight back. Oh well. Let's see, where am I at? Knight to f6. He kicks out my knight. He plays h3, which is the best move. I go h6 with the knight. And here he starts an attack on my knights. He goes g4. I actually straight up ignore it. And funny enough, that's actually the best move. One of the best moves is ignoring the knights and moving to d5. Okay. He goes g5. And here I make a move. Oh, it's on there now. It took the engine a second. This is where things get a little interesting. Because after this move, I'm losing a knight. There's no way around it. So I figured, and I thought about this the entire way as he was pushing his pawns, I have to start attacking. So I bring the queen over to f5. Now, it's funny that the top two moves of this engine is not to actually take either knight. Okay? And actually, the best one would be to take this knight. Taking this knight is not even it's not even registering on the top 5 moves. Okay? So after queen to f5, I kind of want to turn this off for a second because my opponent takes the knight on h6. Okay? I obviously take back. And here he tries to set up an attack. He moves his king to h2. Now, let's go back for a second. After this move, let's turn the engine back on. G takes h6. If you give if you give the engine enough time, this was not on its register, as you saw a second ago. He takes, I take, and queen to h2 is actually the best move. Now, queen to h8 is also my best move, and the entire reason for me sacrificing my knight as I'm bringing my pieces along this aisle here. Okay? And the next move doesn't even register on the top board, and I believe is the mistake in the game that allowed my sacrifice to work. Okay? Because in this position, Dean goes bishop to b2. I was actually thinking he would go here, but that would, funny enough, actually just allow me to do exactly what I wanted to do anyways. But this move, yes, it brings your rook into the game somewhat, but it kind of keeps this bishop locked. And this bishop being locked is actually the main reason why I was okay with sacrificing a knight. Because yes, a knight's worth 3, so is a bishop. Okay? I don't have my knight anymore, and technically he doesn't have his bishop because his bishop's really not participating in the game. Okay, so I figured I can create some tactics. I can lose some material because he's got material trapped. This was also trapped before he moved here, which is probably the reason why. So at the moment, I have 2 pieces trapped. This really can't go anywhere. Like, it could, but where are you going to go after here? Like, I'm just going to move up probably, or even just continue attacking on the king side. And this bishop is just moving back and forth. So here I go rook to g8. And he goes c takes d. Okay, now, for those of you who don't see this move immediately followed by this move, I am quite positive cost you in the game. So we're going to backtrack. So before this move, we'll turn the analysis back on. I want to see what happens to the eval bar after bishop goes to b2. Completely drops into my favor. Completely drops into my favor. With the only move being rook to g8, which is what I make. Now, as you can see, the next move, c takes d, is not even on the board. And it's not even on the board for position with the last move being -3.5. Okay. Let's take a look to see what the eval bar drops to into my favor. And once we see this, we will understand why it's such a dominant position. C takes D. C takes D, followed up with only one move to really keep an advantage. Knight to g4, check. Now, as you can see here, Dean has to play precise to not allow, what's the word I'm looking for? An immediate checkmate. As you can see, moves 3, 4, and 5 have M or mate in the evaluation. Now, if he takes with this, I go here. He has to sacrifice his queen to avoid checkmate. If he takes with the queen, he's got a little bit more advantage, but not much. Okay, so that's the reason why I played knight to g4 check. Now, in this position, he doesn't see the attack. I even talked to him after the game, and he said after he took, for some reason he thought either this rook was here or I would have to take with this, and exchanging the queens was bad. He missed a calculation. So after I took here, Dean offered me a draw. I looked him in his face, and with a sly chuckle, because I was shocked, I straight up told him no. Now, he's got his hands in his head because he sees that the only way to keep this game going is to sacrifice his queen, which is what he does. Now, he does try to keep the game going because he does have 2 rooks, a bishop, and a knight against a queen and a rook. However, there's a sequence here where, as you can see in the evaluation, it is mate if not played correctly. Now, the one move that allows it not to be mate is knight takes e4. However, in the game, and I'm going to turn this off for now. I'm going to let the moves play themselves out. In the game, D was playing very fast, as you can tell by the mistakes of the knight moves here. And then this, and then taking here. He was playing fast in this classical game. 75 minutes for the game. 5-second delay. We walked, so let's say minimum 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Plus the delay, we're probably looking closer to 3. Potential of a 3-hour game. We walked out of this game in less than 30 minutes. Okay? Because Dean did not take this pawn. Dean went G1. Now, in this position, there are a couple moves. I'll show them to you. Only 2 to keep the advantage and keep M mate on the board. Now, that has to be perfect. Those 2 evaluations there have to be perfect for that to be made, or he's able to get back in the game. Now, obviously, both of those are checking the king, forcing him onto the second rank here. Now, the only move he has in this position is king to G2. Okay. The only move I have to keep an advantage is knight to G8. He moves back king to F1. Okay. And some of you may think, oh, taking the rook would be beneficial. But I have domination in mind. Ever since he took this pawn, instead of moving the rook to G1, which was the best move. Everything else is a huge advantage my way. Ever since this, I had a KO on the mind. So we get to this point, and let me put it this way. I wanted to teach him a lesson. Because up until this point, Dean was very cocky, very arrogant. For the whole tournament, he's been that way. He's been huffing and puffing at the board while making moves, while his opponent's making moves. To be fair, he's been winning. He was talking a lot of hype before this game. Okay. And he was getting very frustrated after this knight move because he knew what was happening. So after he offered a draw here, he again offered me a draw here after moving king to F1. Obviously, I see the position. I can see the evaluation. I noticed I pretty much have him beat. He's getting flustered. He's turning red. He's very upset because he's losing. Now, in this position, there is only one move to keep the advantage. That is queen to H3. Forcing him to come to this rank here, because if he doesn't, I'm taking his rook for free. Okay. Now, probably be in his best interest to go here, protecting the rook. But even after that, which he was about to do, if he didn't resign in this position. Okay. If he went here, I would go here, not only giving him a check and forcing him to the back rank, but wherever he goes, from here to here, to either here or here, ladder checkmate on the back rank. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I won my first ever over the board tournament. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning, whether or not I deserve the win or not, I'm going to leave up to you. There's some of you that may have thought, what is he doing? Allowing his knights to be attacked. And figured if my opponent would have just made the right king move, or after this, here, and instead of going here, he went here. Okay. Maybe I would have lost. Maybe not. Who knows? Some of you would have thought maybe this is still savable for white if he didn't go here and I didn't capitalize with a unbelievable knight sacrifice, which I'm pretty sure once I put into the review is going to give me a brilliant move. That if I didn't find that I would have lost. Now, there might be some of you out there, like me, who think of chess as a dynamic game. A one-on-one game versus you and an opponent. There's very many moves. There's no engines. There's no computers. Just you and your opponent. And even if you think that my opponent made a couple blunders, didn't see my brilliant sacrifice, and think I don't deserve to win the game or the tournament, I beg to differ. Because blunders, brilliant sacrifices, and playing your opponent, which is what I did. My opponent was playing very fast, just like the previous Reveal the Evals. With these young kids, they play very fast. Okay? So I knew he wasn't calculating to his full potential. I knew after I moved my queen here to f5 after sacrificing my knight, I had to attack. And that's what I did. And I found the best moves and my opponent didn't. That led to me winning the game. And that is why I think I deserved to win that game and ultimately bring home the trophy. And win the tournament. Now, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this Reveal the Eval. Let me know what you think in the comments, whether or not I deserve to win or not. Feel free again to like and subscribe. And besides that, I hope you guys have a above average rest of your day. I'm out. Deuces.